All right, y'all. Well, I'm here today with Daniel Eisenman, host of the Breaking Normal podcast, founder of Tribe Vitamins, and one of our founders of 100 Sundays, the legendary Sunday pull-up group here in Boulder. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Excited to be on this side of the table, and thanks for being a part of 100 Sundays for sure.
Yeah, well, thanks for introducing me to it. I was telling you yesterday, I always sit behind that table, listening to your conversations, and I'm more of an observer. I'm excited today to partake and share my views and riff back and forth.
Yeah, I thought about that conversation because we made the parallel to like Jamie and Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And like I would love to hear Jamie do a podcast. Has he ever done one? Do you know?
I don't know. It'd be cool if he went on with Rogan.
And imagine him like interviewing Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I would love that. Anyways, it's a great idea. I think it's a cool breaking normal opportunity here. So let's go.
Yeah, that'd be great. I don't sit behind there and pull up things on the screen either. Maybe we can incorporate that into the show.
Yeah, it could be cool. Like this could be like a screen that says let's do podcast when you're not using it. But then if you're pulling up like a video or a reference point, boom, it can show right there with another camera on it. I think might be cool.
Okay, we'll work on it. I want to hear a little bit more into, I guess, the driving force behind your podcast, which is Synchronicity, and how that came to be in your life. I feel like, for me at least, when I started to tap into the synchronicities around me, I noticed it more and more and more. And it started small, and then I learned how to like listen and lean into that, and it just brings a lot to you. And you feel like you're sitting back and the universe is doing its thing. So why don't you share a little bit about like where that started for you?
So I heard, I think from Carl Jung, that synchronicity is God's way of keeping itself anonymous. And that resonates deeply with me. And I'm a big sucker for synchronicity. And I published the book Breaking Normal right after I saw my daughter born in 2017. Are we good?
Oh, we're good.
Okay. I saw you check.
I'm playing producer at the same time.
I respect that. So once I was like done with that book, like 90% done for years. But when I saw my daughter born, I was like, okay, it's my turn to give birth. And I birthed the book Breaking Normal a couple months later. And because synchronicity is my schedule, that's what I make my schedule, synchronicity. So many people allow other men to dictate their schedule, whether it's through like propaganda of getting on the rat race of, going from school to school to the white picket fence situation,
9 to 5.
Yeah, that whole thing. Or they're doing it for some external approval that they'll look good. I let my schedule be synchronicity. And I do think the more that I have honored those breadcrumbs from God, the more I get to see them. And being alive might be the ultimate synchronicity. It might just be a little too overwhelming to perpetually be in that state. So I see synchronicity as a remembering, like, oh, it's like a God's reminder that this is all miraculous. Enjoy.
Right, because think of everything that had to happen for you to be here, and not only here, but sitting at this table, having this conversation. You can't begin to comprehend all of the just the causal events that took place for you to be here. Your parents meeting, I mean, that's just one, but you can trace it back even further. You can get really intricate about that.
Yeah. I mean, like yesterday, like the last 48 hours, I had a major synchronicity with the name and people Hollis. I was scheduled to do a podcast with Hollis Carter from Baby Bathwater here Friday. Okay. That was going to be about the first time I've met up with him on purpose for 5 years, probably 5+ years. I had originally met him in San Diego.
Okay.
I'm going back to San Diego for the first time in 5 years this Friday. Wow. So just to give you a little food for thought, we postponed the podcast. He rescheduled it. The next morning, it turns out that day, Friday, is my ex-girlfriend's birthday. Her name is Hollis. I did not plan that out. It just like struck me. Missed the podcast. Next morning, I go to the park. I see Hollis Carter and his family, which is very rare. But I see him at the park that I always go to, the park where we do 100 Sundays.
Yeah.
Then I was like, wow. I was like, this is like a Hollis day. And then Hollis Bork, my ex, calls me that day, a few hours later that day. And I'm like, wow, whoa, what is going on? So then I go to the sauna. I felt like this call. I'm like, I'm going to go to the sauna and just chill. It's like a little God time. I also think that's like a vortex, like that psychedelic sweat bubble is a vortex for synchronicities.
I know.
I lay down there. There's a pretty girl in there. And I look over, I'm like, we start talking. I'm like, wait, do I know you? And she's like, oh, well, yeah, we met like a long time ago because you told me your girlfriend's name is Hollis, and that's my name. And I was like, oh, like, wait, what?
And how many girls out there?
I only know 3 Hollises in my whole life.
Yeah.
And they all came into my life yesterday and the day before. And imagine, that's what I'm saying. That I feel like God's giving me a breadcrumb. But just being alive is such a miraculous synchronicity. Everything we're experiencing is such a miraculous experience. And the synchronous experience is just sometimes I think it's fun to be reminded. I think we're playing a game of hide and seek in a way. And that's like, it keeps the game fun.
Between our immediate self and this larger collective self, you could call it. And it's like a cosmic wink when something like that happens. Do you think it's our job to ask why and to interpret those breadcrumbs? Like, how do you approach that? Because it happens, you're like, wow. And then you're like, okay, now what? Like, what's the deeper reason? Is there a deeper purpose or reason?
That's a great question. I tend to lean not so much for why, but I lean towards, well, where's the next one? Mm-hmm. It's like a game. It's like just a board game. I'm like, okay, I follow this one. And it seems like when I do that, then they really start showing up.
Yeah.
And at certain places, they really show up. And when I follow those, I feel like it leads me to more. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, once again, a game. It's like once you follow that synchronicity, it unlocks more. And the why, I think the why is not meant to be taken so seriously. The why might be to be enthralled in the game.
Right. I like what you said about the sauna, just the Ember and Ice sauna here in Boulder being like a vortex of synchronicity. I recently decided I quit one of my jobs, just kind of shifted, came full-time here. And then I was like, what's next? I think I want to go to grad school to become a licensed therapist. And I started looking into Europa. And I opened myself up to that opportunity of, okay, maybe this is the place for me. And then all of a sudden, for the next week, it just kept showing up in front of me. I met a guy on the street while I was doing street interviews who sat on the Europa board and was good friends with its founder. Then I came to Ember and Ice, and everyone in that damn sauna had something to say about their experience there and how they were also pulled there. It kind of came to them, and it just kept happening all week. The sauna happened to be a big source of those interactions, but it just amazed me. I started following that breadcrumb trail and saw where it led me.
Yeah, it's fun. I think, I don't know if you were in the room when I talked about being on the edge of I was watching a Shakespeare play. And I was on the very edge of the kind of seating high up where I could see behind the scenes. I could see the lighting guy. I could see the audience. I could see the audio guy. I could see the actors. I could see how they act on the stage and then how they acted behind the stage. And, that I feel like that's a bit my seat in life. But some people are in the front row and they're just completely enjoying themselves, pretending everything is real. And there are some people in the back that are wishing they were up front and distracted by their phone, right, or not enjoying themselves. And then there's the actors. And then there's the director and the producer you don't even see. Yeah, I feel like it's not necessarily why. It's I don't need to know why the actors are acting that way. I want to experience them acting that way.
Right. And when you get to shift between those different roles in the production from audience member to maybe distracted audience member in the back who doesn't want to be there, to director, and all of these different roles that we play in this experience. You're right. You're not asking why is the play happening. You're just getting a bit like a bigger picture of what's really going on from all angles.
Yeah, and I think choose your seat wisely, or choose your role. I mean,
Yeah.
and trade out. You can play all the roles.
I think more than this like intellectual aha, like, oh, this is so cool. I feel like I'm following this trail of breadcrumbs. I feel that it's really loving, right? When I feel that I'm being led or guided in the right direction, it's not just that I have a better understanding. I feel my heart just a lot of love. I feel like carried in a way, like a baby just being like nursed by the universe, by God. So it's an intimate experience with the universe, with God, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to put it. I feel that way as well. And that's sort of what I was alluding to at the beginning. It's just as I have a daughter, her freedom is extremely important to her and me. But it's really nice to know that like when I'm looking out for her, and I feel like when I experience those synchronicities, that I'm being looked out for. Like God is giving me a hug right now. Like God gave me a big Hollis hug in that sauna 2 days ago. It's just like, this is unreal. There's no chance how even this other guy in the sauna was like, you should really look into this. He's like, this is really deep, like 3 in a row like that. What are you going to do about it? And I'm like, well, this is what I'm doing about it. I'm talking to y'all about it. I'm amazed. I'm in awe. And so I think by making that the schedule of the Breaking Normal podcast, I get to see a lot of those. And it's almost as if every show, a synchronicity shows up. And it's fun to not know that, but like what it's going to be exactly. But I'm like, holy mackerel, that happened to you. You were there that time too, or whatever the story is. It seems like there's always at least one synchronicity that shows up on the show or that brought the guest to the show.
I love how you compared it to your relationship to your daughter, because that's not, from my perspective, that's not a relationship I know. You know, I know the experience of being cared for by God or by my parents, but I haven't crossed that bridge yet in life where I know what it's like from the other standpoint, where that is that shift again between, you know, you're not just the front row in the audience as a child who's cared for by the actors on stage, but you're getting to give that experience now. You're part of the production. It's cool. I don't know what that's like yet. And you have that perspective.
Yeah, I would say it's arguably the most significant experience of my life by far. At least with another human. Like I feel once again that God is my father, and that's the ultimate relationship. And in this human experience that I'm having, being a parent is the absolute best. Is the absolute best honor. I mean, I almost, like when I meet other parents, I'm just like, okay, good for you. Like you've experienced the best of what I've like the best thing I have in my life. You have your version of it. That's a big pat on the back right away. So yeah, I can't encourage being a parent enough.
Going off of that, do you feel like your relationship with God or your idea of God changed after becoming a father?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely see it more as like why God, Abba, Jah, like the Father, the Most High is that we use the language that we're the children of God, because the thing that mirrors it the most closely is being on both sides of the coin, being a child and a parent. And then I guess we project that onto either it's a real projection or not. That's what it feels like with God as well.
Yeah, I feel also that in today's world, there's less of a push towards becoming a parent. There's more, I'd say more now than ever, especially in our culture, the individuality, which is a blessing and has a shadow side that we value in America, has given many people, and it's everyone's life, but it's given many people the ability to more easily opt out of like parenting, becoming a parent, especially with there's more forms of birth control. The idea, like the split from like monogamy and from like the family model, has also broken apart the traditional idea of family. And so now younger people less and less, and I have family members as well that have just chosen not to do this, don't always readily pursue becoming a parent. I think there's a good side of that, because now we have the ability to question, like, when am I going to be fit to be a parent? Am I fit at all to be a parent? Right. But I just have this like gut feeling that it's something that as a human we need to experience to fulfill our time here to the fullest extent.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that there's some sort of correlation, like with the bigger government gets, the more like intrusive and included government gets in people's lives, that could push out the ultimate act of living, which I think is starting a family. And maybe for some people that's not possible, and they have a different calling, and their ultimate act of living is something different. But I would tend to think that it'd be a huge mistake for people to think there's something more important than starting a family. And I do think that there are a lot of young people that might be being influenced to think that it's not the best path. But shoot, man, I like women that are 40 plus and they convince themselves there was something more important than becoming a mom. I don't think you'll find many that when they're like they're questioning how much longer they're going to be fertile, that would not regret that basically. Yeah. Like when I meet older women, it seems like, and I did a lot of shadow work at retreats. It seems like the biggest trauma and or regret is abortions and or not having children. I'm not saying that's true for everybody, but that is a pattern that I think is true for most. And we can change that as like a past pattern. Some people might think it's impossible if maybe a woman that's 45 is listening to this, is getting triggered. That doesn't mean that there's other options to tap into that parental role, whether it's through mentorship, adoption, nephews, nieces, other people's children. Oh man, there's children all around the world that could really use some good parental guidance right now.
Yeah, I think the core of what we're talking about isn't always maybe not for everyone, the act of having a child, but the role of having someone that's dependent on you, or creating something that is dependent on you in whatever form that is, where you are now bearing the weight of responsibility in a sometimes painful, sometimes beautiful way. And that is, I mean, if we want to break it down to what it means to be a parent, that to me seems like it's the core, is this is more important than I am. I have to sacrifice my needs and myself for this thing that I'm trying to grow and nurture.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to be misconstrued. I have the ultimate honor for giving birth. Women that do that, I know it might be tough to say. Yeah, I just don't know how a woman would not go that path if they can. Women that get, like I saw my daughter's mom give birth, completely new person. Like that, I'm imagining that was the most important experience of her life.
I think for men it's important too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, for women it's a very different experience, but for men today, and you want to talk about things that prevent men in particular from fully living, I feel like that would be an inhibitor, and having that, not having that experience would not allow a man to fully realize his fullest potential. Not all the time, right? There's people that devote themselves to other causes that can have a mirrored experience, but I just, something within me feels that that's a very significant time in a man's life.
Oh yeah, yeah. What are the normal stages? Like, how do normal people describe the stages of a person's life? Do you know? Like when you
Like from start to finish.
Yeah, like how would you describe the stages of someone's life?
There's a few. My dad does some work with this. There's a few different like interpretations I've heard. One is morning of life, afternoon of life, and then evening of life.
Okay.
The other one specifically to men is from page to knight to prince to king to sage.
Okay.
And that's like a man's journey, and that's what I've heard. And but yeah, that's I those are my favorite interpretations.
Okay. Yeah, I like the way I see the stage of someone's or of a human's life and what we're our potential to become is basically to be birthed, to become fertile, to make life, and die. And why would someone want to leave the making life out of it?
Mm-hmm. Right, like skip that very crucial piece.
Yeah, it's like if there's 4 seasons in a year, those are the 4 seasons I see of a human's life. I don't think we should skip one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I also, maybe we shift into that conversation of like different stages of life, because I think it's in a man's world in particular, it's in my experience becomes so helpful to be aware of that transition from boyhood into this young adult experience, and have other male figures around me who are in later stages of life to see like what they're grappling with, right? The spiritual and financial and family experiences and challenges that come later. It's just it feels like I've gained a lot of perspective by talking to everyone on that spectrum of men who are going through a very big variety of experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the first thing when what was coming up when you were talking about that, I was thinking that from that being birthed and being a baby to the stage of becoming fertile, I think it's extremely important and significant that child before they become fertile has someone or multiple people in their life that put that child before themselves. So hopefully the parents, this child gets the sense that, wow, I'm more important to my dad than my dad is to himself. So then ideally when that boy becomes fertile / a man, then that's what he starts doing.
Right.
And I do think our culture is not set up. Like our culture, the individual, and like become successful and make the most of yourself. I don't think people are being pushed that way unless they have good parents.
Yeah, because the teachers that we have greatly, and the role models we have greatly influence how we should live life. And we do have like collective beliefs within the system that we live in that sometimes are worth challenging. And I think that's where shadow work comes in, is being able to look at, okay, who are my parents? Did they model that for me, that ability to put the child first? And everyone has their own conflicts with their parents. There's whether you have the most loving parents in the world or the most neglectful parents, there is always that shadow work to be done within that relationship that you then do. And then when you step into that role, hopefully you've done the reflection and the inner work to be a better parent for your kid. And it's not to say that, I mean, personally, it's not to say that my parents did anything wrong, but it's just a matter of I want, and me and my parents both want the next generations to be more evolved than the previous. You know, the only thing a father could ask for is that his children, son in particular, do better in this world than he does. And a good father goes to great lengths through education and discipline and love, masculine love, to help make that a possibility.
Yeah, and I think it's coming down to, I'm curious, when you were a child before you knew you could ejaculate, what do you think what do you believe was the most important thing to your parents?
It's a good question. So stepping into
Like
a
from
younger,
0 to 10,
yeah,
or whatever you first.
I think in some sense, work, not in a bad way, and also experiencing life. I have a lot of my dad was a rabbi in our community, and so I saw like him in that role growing up before I became very aware of like what Judaism was and all these things. I just saw him just giving to the community, and I also just think that a parent wants to give their children fun and joyful experiences. So we had a lot of family vacations, and I guess the main role that I saw my parents in was what they do for fun. I saw it as fun in a way. My mom was a yoga teacher. I just assumed that she has fun doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Less of an emphasis on like, there's a mortgage and this is a way to bring in income, and you have to actually go out of your way to structure in time for family trips. I just all saw it as like a pursuit of just joyful experiences. Would be my honest answer.
Yeah, when I was contemplating that, it's quite clear to me that the most important thing to my parents growing up was me and my brothers and my sister. There was nothing more important. And I guess what I'm pondering is, how does a boy becoming a man know how to do that if they've never experienced it? Because in a way, that's kind of what becoming a man means to me, is that, there's more important people than me in my life. Like they're like, the most important thing in my life is not necessarily me. But, and I kind of think that's the core, or the crux of the issue, that how a lot of young people are growing up. They think the most important thing in the world is them. And they may have not grown up in a home where that they were the most important thing. Do you see the correlation there? Like, I'm feeling that if a child grows up in a home and he or she believes they are not the most important things to their parents, then they're going to grow up thinking they have the most important thing is themselves.
Right. Like, how can you give something that you've never had?
And I think it's possible, but I think that's the core. I think that's what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How can you give something that you've never had? You can't give something that you don't have. And it comes with, that's like the classic line in like love and relationships is like, well, don't expect to be in a healthy relationship with a romantic partner and give love if you can't love yourself first. You know, that's like a cliche of sorts, but there's a truth to that, and it's in all kinds of relationships, not just romantic ones.
Yeah, I also see that same thing. How could I be a great husband if I can't? Because there's, especially when a wife gets pregnant, the wife and the child or future child are more important than the man to himself. Otherwise, it's, what kind of father is that? It's like, it has to be that way. They're these individuals, the mother and the child, are going to be completely dependent upon you or someone else, but they have to be. They're going to be completely dependent, especially during birth and leading up to birth and after birth. And if a man's never done that, if a man never knew that maybe it's a man's role to, like, the ultimate way of loving himself is to love someone else more.
How much of that do you think is primal and is just ingrained in us and comes out if given the opportunity, versus how much of that is learned, like you said? And I'm sure a great deal of it is learned and modeled after other people. This is the classic nature versus nurture.
Mm-hmm.
But how much of that do you think is a primal instinct, and how might someone who didn't experience that from a learning standpoint cultivate that within themselves?
Well, like the idea of when in need, plant a seed. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, wow, my parents I don't think my parents thought I was important. Like, if someone's thinking that right now, maybe maybe you're a great person to seek mentorship. And I can't imagine if someone came up to me after this podcast and told me, they're like, wow, Daniel, I don't think I had a dad I've never experienced the love from a parent that you're talking about. Like, are you able to help me? I would probably go so far out of my way to help this person, whether it's like, oh my gosh, I know a dad like that's like looking to mentor someone just like you, or like I know a family that you can be the older brother. Yeah, I think it's time to find that love, because it can go either way. Maybe for someone that never had it and they become a dad, their primal instinct's going to kick in and they're going to cultivate it immediately. Or maybe they're a dad and they're not feeling that, and they need to get some good programming in their life and seek some mentorship.
I think that goes for many young men, even those that did feel like they received an above and beyond amount of love. Because if you look at the direction we've gone in as a species, we now have a longer lifespan. We've added in value to self-actualization and self-transcendence and all these concepts that when we were focused on just survival, we didn't have the ability to give attention to. And so when I'm 23, right? At this point in life, even 50 years ago, let alone like 200, 300 plus years ago, I would have children. I would have a trade or craft that I practiced to bring food or grow food for my family. And now we have this period that we call the 20s, even before in teenage years, where people have the ability to learn and refine themselves and confront these parts of themselves that maybe I want to change this before I bring new life in this world. Not that I don't want to, but I want to make sure that I'm as ready as I can be. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good thing, and it's a beautiful opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know of a faster way of learning more about yourself than becoming a parent.
Just jumping in.
Yeah. And I also feel sorry in a way for people that have that belief that, oh, I'll be ready to have a child when. Phew, that's sad. I just find that sad. I'm like, that's just, what are you talking about? There's a chance that everything you think that you need to be before having a child is on the other side of becoming a parent.
I see. I'm going to sit with that.
Yeah. I'm not saying that necessarily for you. And for a man, it's different than a woman. We are in different times. but there's like new propaganda being passed along, like from Elon Musk and other like leaders, like just go make as many children as you can. Like the world needs it. Our population is declining. I'm like, I think that's a radical stance, but I'm like, that seems like such a better stance than the idea that I'm not sure. I need to do this before I become a dad. I'm like, what? What's more important than becoming a dad? Do that now. Do that as soon as you can. Do you think? And I'm not saying just go recklessly have sex, but I'm like, if you are, I just don't know what's most important. You got to figure that out in your own heart. But I don't know what's more significant. If you're putting off having children because you think you need to do something first, like, wow. But that's not only with children. A lot of people say, I'll do this when.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate loss.
Yeah.
That's not winning. When you're WHENing on yourself, you're not WINNING, you're losing.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a middle ground here? Because I'll say, like, for me, and I'm also coming from the background of an observant Jew who, in parts of Jewish culture, not as much in America, but more in like the Orthodox community, especially in Israel, there is an emphasis on you date, you find a partner, you get married, and you have a ton of kids. And it's not like we have to populate as much as possible. It's like, no, you start your life and then you build with your partner. You don't, like marriage, for example, you don't wait to have your law degree and your job established at the firm to say, okay, now I can get into marriage. No, you get into marriage and you figure it out together. You go into the world together, blind to what your career might be or where you were going to live. And it's like, you're in it. You're all in it together. So that's where I see what you're saying being valuable and true in that paradigm. Is it's a successful model. I've seen it. I know a lot of people who, my rabbi included, who he dated, got married, moved to Boulder with no other plan in place than we're going to build a community here. And that was it. Had kids and then figured it out from there. So that's like very, I guess, a defiant act when you think of the norm, so to say, like what you see as a harmful paradigm.
Let's put it this way. First of all, what I'm saying, I'm not trying to make a dogma, or like my projection does not have to be your placebo, and your projection is not my placebo. I am thinking out loud here. Yeah. And for me, this is what I'll say. For about 10 years, I traveled to basically all 50 states, maybe about 20 countries, living like a lifestyle that I would almost say is like more fun than many rock stars. It's such a epic decade, like such an epic decade. None of it compares to like putting my daughter to sleep.
Right.
It's like one night with my daughter is like that decade. It's fun because I've met people that are younger than me, like, oh, like you traveled and you did all this. Like I should do that, and then I'll have children. I'm like, oh, that was a fun decade, and sure you can do, but my advice is do that with your children. Go do that with your children. That'll be even more fun. Like I'm going to San Diego with my daughter Friday. We are so stoked. Like I am so much more stoked about this trip. And like deeper ways than just like the surface of like, this is going to be so much fun.
Right. Because you're also giving that experience to her. You know, it's not just you going out and having a vacation. You're getting to show her places that are important to you and have a good time, and she'll remember that forever.
Yeah. And I don't regret the decade that I did. I'm just saying that there's something much better than traveling and living like a rock star.
I want to shift directions a little bit here, because when I interviewed you in the park a few weeks ago for our Let's Do Podcast Instagram page, and you started talking about authenticity and being able to live according to no one else's expectations. And I see that aligns a lot with your book and your podcast, Breaking Normal, not conforming to what anyone else expects. How in a world that sometimes clings to normal, how do you make an authentic stand, which can sometimes be a defiant stand?
Well, the subtitle of Breaking Normal is Rewild Your Inner Child and Set the Truth Free. And this might be another reason I love having a child, and I love people of all ages. Children, they don't seem to have, up to a certain age and depending on how they're raised, they don't seem to have this stress, this self-induced stress to look and act like other people. It seems like something bigger and wilder is floating their boat in a way. And so, and that's in the Bible, be childlike. I think the key is that I think it's easier when you're like closer to the source. So it seems like people that are just born and they're like getting really close to dying somehow just drop the heaviness of trying to fit in. Mm-hmm. And I think that's extremely healthy. So yeah, I aim to like let my heart kind of guide my way. So if I feel like like even when I'm speaking right now, it's like, I'm aiming to speak from my like chest, from what like the feeling that I'm having and putting into words, rather than trying to mold my words into a way that others will think highly of. And I think this is a constant practice. For me, because of doing podcasts and such and being an entrepreneur, it is a lot with how I speak. But it can be in all kinds of ways, like just going out on 100 Sundays and like going outside to meet up and play outside
on the monkey bars.
What a profound concept. But it is profound. It is, for me, it's profound. I did that now 16 Sundays in a row. And it is just, I don't know what is more pure than play. And play is unscripted.
I actually had someone make a comment about the post of the 100 Sundays, one of the weeks we were standing in front of the monkey bars, not like by the tree. And they're like, it's so funny to see a bunch of like ripped grown men standing at a park in front of the monkey bars. And like, I did think to myself, you know what? Like, it's just play. Like we were playing at the park. And that's a good way to think about it, because my initial thought is I'm going to do a workout in the park and do pull-ups and get some exercise in with the guys. The other way to look at it is I'm going to go have a playful day, just roll around in the sun and the grass and do some pull-ups. There's a very different perspective to enter it with, because it changes the experience that you have.
Yeah, and it's so much more easy to be that way outside.
Yeah.
It really is. Like it's so easy to change. Like in here, it's like a little crazy. Like if I start screaming, it's a little wild in this little confined space. If I start yelling, outside, it's not. Mm-hmm. Like there's gotta get outside and play with our friends, like little kids do. I mean, that's when I think seeing my daughter grow up. That's when I think she's had the most fun, is going outside and playing with her friends.
I was talking to Ben, who was on before, just after the episode, a bit about what you mentioned, and not crafting ideas and words in a way that other people want to hear them, but really dropping in and letting the words come through you, rather than in like that academic mental way to create a perfect essay or summary of thoughts. And it can be difficult to do that. It's like a retraining, and even returning to a childlike state can be like a retraining in a way, where you have to break free from what has always been automatic. And it takes work. It's something that I'm working on, like really saying, what's my heart wanting right now? What's the inner melody singing? And how do I express that? How do I use my expressive faculties, my speech, my thoughts, my action to reflect that? This is a good question. I've had a lot of joy from that exploration.
Yeah, I think we could even start doing it on 100 Sundays, but screaming, like I said, a lot of people, a lot of people don't know how to scream.
Yeah.
Babies know how to scream. Babies know how to scream, and it's very important that they do. And it's the same for us and adults. And that's like an easy little hack. I bet if someone's like, well, how do I start playing more from like a pure place in my heart rather than trying to fit into some sort of group so they think I'm cool, go out, scream. Go outside and scream. The creek helps with that. Like, going in really cold water, nature exposure helps that. Run, like playing hard, working out hard. And kids also do this pretty freely. They want to run fast. They want to play so hard they can barely breathe. They like to scream. They like to laugh. They like to cry. They like to giggle. But some people are like just stuck in this one set of emotions, or like this one set of expressing themselves, because they're worshiping the opinions of what they think other people think about them. And it's a wild way to live, not a good wild way to live. It's a very cultured way to live. It's a very normal way to live.
And the funny thing is, what I found is that the more you do live that way and you let other people see it, you'll come to find that, yeah, maybe some people look at you like you're a weirdo, like going up to the top of the cliff and screaming, and like, who is that guy? But other people can appreciate it. Like, not only are you doing a service to yourself by just like authentically expressing that, but you may change someone else's experience. Like just yesterday, I've been doing like the Wim Hof breathing at the park after our workouts, and I'm sitting there huffing and puffing like loudly at this park, and it's taken time, and I'm like, I've come to a place where I can just do it and not really think about, well, how is this being perceived? Once I got there, I offered it to someone else to join me, and they said, hey, thank you so much. Like, I haven't experienced something like that in a while. Just like this raw, real, intense breathing. And it was super validating to the initial step of like courage it took to be out in public and be doing something vulnerable like that, because not only did it affect me, but it helped someone else reconnect to that part of themselves too. It's contagious.
It's definitely contagious. And that's why, like, going to you'll see it in dog parks or playgrounds all day long, how contagious the purity of play is. So yeah, go play outside. Some people might join you, or go ask to join them. That can be fun, comfortable. Like, yeah, like for workouts, my brothers and I have tapped into that before, like realizing that it might be a little awkward to like ask for a spot from, like, if there's like this one intimidating guy, like, wow, I'm a little nervous about talking to this guy for some reason. Go ask him to spot you, and then like watch how invigorated you get. I'm a big believer in this community aspect of playing hard, especially outside. And it can be exploited, like I'm saying, in the gym. Like, you're feeling lazy at the gym, maybe go ask for that girl's number over there that you think is so attractive, and then go do your set. But people are scared to feel alive. I mean, it's scary. Some people are like, if they haven't felt that in a while, it's a little intimidating, but it's definitely worth it.
It is. Well, I hope anyone who's listened finds the courage to just take that step and not care what anyone else thinks, in whatever way speaks to you. I mean, try screaming outside and see how it makes you feel. But if it shows up in some other way, just do it. Just go put your headphones on and start dancing when you're walking down the street. People will either judge you for it and screw them if they do, or they'll be like, oh, that person's super confident in themselves. So yeah, man.
Yeah. I also, just to like kind of give a golden thread, if awareness is the volume button of consciousness, right? We have a certain level of awareness. Let's just say there's percentages of awarenesses. And if, say, the normal person, 50% of their awareness is being used to guess what other people think about them, I would say there's a much better use of that 50% of your awareness, and that's to turn it back inside and become more aware of our own sensations and turn those up. And actually what that might do is that might break your addiction to approval, because you'll find that if I want to feel excited, I can feel excited by doing something awkward outside. Like I can leave this and do something funny. Like this lady, this 80-year-old lady, I would guess she's 80, 90 when I was leaving the post office just now. She just looks so stoked on life. And sure enough, she says something to me. I had my headphones in. I'm like, what'd you say? Because she definitely like kind of yelled something at me in like a nice way. And she's like, oh, good guns. You have good guns. And I'm like, well, I was just thinking about what a good face you have. And I was a little nervous to say that. But I'm not thinking about what she thought about it. I'm like, wow, that made my heart beat faster. That made like my hair, like I got goosebumps when I said that. I kind of like, I have all these sensations. Just keep turning those sensations up. Feel more alive. Drop this guessing game and blasphemy of worshiping other people's opinions. And then you can become more aware of synchronicity. Like instead of using your attention to guess what other people are thinking, maybe use our awareness to see the breadcrumbs of God all around us.
So just to really tie it up, embrace your inner child so you can feel embraced by your creator that holds you like a child. And then maybe you'll give that experience to your child one day when you have them and be able to live in that state. And I'm sure they can teach you that, like your daughter has probably taught you. So we'll wrap it up there. Do you have any more questions for me while you're here?
Where are your parents now?
They're in Denver. I get to see them often because I record their podcasts as well.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, they're local.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, 3 younger siblings.
3 younger ones.
Yeah.
Boys, girls.
I have 2 sisters.
Okay.
And a younger brother.
Wow. See, I'm the oldest of 4, and I have 2 younger brothers and the youngest sister.
Okay, so you get the older sibling.
What are the year gaps?
My sister is almost 21, so 2 years younger than me. My other sister's 17, and my brother is 14.
Nice. I think you'll make a great dad. I think it's an advantage to being an older sibling. With, like, it sounds like you have great parents. You have 3 younger siblings, so you've already known what it's like to sort of raise children potentially.
Yeah, in very different way.
Y'all grew up in the same household?
We did, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was like a parent to my younger siblings a lot of times. I don't know how parents raise 4 kids. It's like they have to start depending on the siblings.
Yeah, no, it's it's quite the task.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was awesome. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And for anyone listening today, I hope you enjoy. I hope you find the courage from this conversation, from anything you learned, to break free from the shells that conceal your inner light, and face all parts of yourselves, the light and the shadows, and make a dent in the universe while we're here.